Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome. If you are new, welcome back to my returning viewers. I am EBINOTTI, and today we're doing the new moon readings. We're doing tarot readings, and we are currently working with the new moon Gemini. So, we've already done the ether element, the collective reading. Like we always start out these moon cycles with a collective reading. We read the ether, the collective consciousness, and just get that overall vibe. And then because it's Gemini this cycle, that's an air element, we read the air element first after that. After that, it's anybody's guess. It could go in any order. So today we are picking meditating and getting into this energy today. I didn't really pick up a lot. I don't have a lot of downloads. I'm sure as we get going, a lot of the things that have been coming up with this new moon energy will start to come up as our downloads, but getting into this reading, nada. The mind is relatively quiet, relatively peaceful coming into this. Love to see that. Especially with Gemini. Gemini is not the easiest energy, especially new moon Gemini, where it could be a lot of big shifting happening under that Gemini archetype. Not always the easiest energy to deal with in, like I said, air element, that being the mental space and the throat chakra. You know, it's a time for flu seasons and colds, head colds. We get a lot of those. And a lot of those, mental anxiety issues where racing thoughts can be a bit of an issue, mental, emotional anxiety. So anxiety coming from our thoughts can be a bit of an issue, but getting into this reading, things are feeling peaceful, which is great. That's a great sign. We'll see where that goes. But I like it. I like the energy. I'm very excited to be here with you today. If you're new, make sure you subscribe before you check out. Big apologies for my crazy hair today. I just could not be bothered to deal with it. And maybe you're feeling similar. Maybe you're feeling like now's a great time for self-care, pampering. It doesn't have to be all of the action-based things, though. Pampering can be taking a day at the beach, at the river, on a nature walk, bird watching, watching the ocean, the water, the lake, anything that you have around you as your natural habitat. You know what I'm saying? I've got these beautiful trees right outside my window, and I'm really just enjoying sitting here with the weather. It's a pretty sunny day where I'm at, which is nice. We don't get a lot of sunshine in northern British Columbia, Canada, if you're familiar. But it just had, there's so much to be said about the immense level of gratitude that's coming through right now. The gratitude for nature, for our environments, our safe spaces, the time that we have to relax, even if it feels like it's never enough time. And you're constantly trying to refill your cup to maintain your energy levels, to maintain your lifestyle, your responsibilities. I mean, a lot of these things come up with Gemini. It's if you know anything about Gemini, it's the twins. It's that duality of our darker and lighter nature in its extremes. But there's a beautiful companionship and acceptance energy when it's all out there. Okay, so if you know any Geminis, you probably know them to be extremely receptive people who catch on very, very quickly to the nature of things. Whether that's the truth in a situation, they have excellent intuition. And that's something with this new moon energy we can all use. We can tap into that exposed energy that Gemini gives. So I have these theories about all the archetypes, and Gemini specifically about their social anxiety, because they are such live wire type of energy, meaning they're so receptive to their environments, the people around them, what is true, what is real, what is just the energy underneath, that it can be like a subconscious thing. It's like they're not even trying. I'm a Pisces, I'm not a Gemini, but I do have Gemini as my rising sign or my ascending sign. And my grandfather, who I was very close with, was a Gemini as well. So that type of energy where they are like the geniuses, whether they're social geniuses, physical geniuses, intellectual geniuses, they have this ability to just automatically know the reality, the truth, the underlying message, or, that read between the lines message, which I can't say has always been my strong suit. Picking up on that, because I really have to ground myself. I have to get into my earth energy and get grounded to be able to utilize that Gemini observant kind of sensitivity. So much for not having any downloads, I suppose. So yeah, getting into it, it's a really brilliant kind of energy. The mind feels not necessarily focused, but calm. And receptive and open to receiving, which is a beautiful energy if you're manifesting, or if you're really hoping for or expecting an outcome or some change in your life right now. The new moon energy is a great time to get receptive to change. It might be a message for some of you out there. My mom's a Taurus. Change is not her favorite thing in the moment. But that discomfort is something that we can all prepare for. Okay, it's like when you know that, I don't know why the pregnancy thing keeps coming up as a message. That's got to be for y'all collective. But when you are pregnant and you know the day is going to come where you're going to have to give birth, you know that that's not going to be your favorite day up until the baby is there in your arms, crying, being named, doing all the wonderful things, right? Because it's going to be probably the worst pain you've ever experienced in your life that very few people on the planet can even relate or understand. I mean, a lot of people have C-sections now. No man's going to understand, and then there's a lot of people choosing not to have kids. So the extreme nature of being prepared for something that is coming, it's coming, and there's no way to, I guess that's why pregnancy is the, kind of analogy that keeps coming up, is because there's no way to really prepare for what's about to happen to your body, to your psyche, to all the things, but there's only one way to do it. So part of the natural process, I think that's a big part of the message, that the natural process is quite carnivorous. It's quite aggressive. And most importantly, it is quite out of your fucking control. We do a lot. If you really think about our society, modern society, like, I don't even know. The evolution out here is too unreal for me. But when you really think about our modern society, how many times do we assume control? With our drugs, our everything from painkillers to anti-inflammatories to vitamin C, like, we really try to assume a lot of control, and it gives us this sort of illusion that we are in control, when in reality, I think a lot of people suffer from facing the fact that they are not in control, that so little of what they get to do in their life get to do. You know how it is. It's free will out here, right? But think of the process of being raised by a family dynamic or that group. It's like you make very few of those rules. And then when you're an adult, you're like, fuck yeah, I'm going to make all the rules. I'm going to eat candy for breakfast. And you rebel against the nature of your upbringing or however you go about that. And you assume this level of sort of delusional control that you're going to have a main say. When it comes down to it, very little of our time gets to be spent that way. And it's not so much out of our free will. It's like we chose these people, relationships, locations, lifestyles. We do have a lot of choice, to the point where, and here's a message coming through for the collective, to the point where we're almost getting fed up with the nonsense of all the choices. Do we need 56 different drugstore shampoo options? I don't feel like we do. But we do need choice when it comes to how our tax dollars are spent. You see where I'm going with this? If they're going to give us such specific options in something as mundane as shampoo, then, the fragrances, the colors, the brands, the dry hair, oily hair, like, what the fuck? hydrate, repair, moisturize, you know, like what the fuck? We all just want nice hair. That's it. We want it healthy, happy. And yes, there are some differences in our hair out here, but not that many. There's not fucking that many, that's for sure. Yet we get zero option where every single dollar of our taxes goes. So it's time to maybe shift where we're putting our lack of control and control instead of just having it out here wishy-washy like somebody else is running the world. Again, the message of sovereignty. So under this new moon Gemini, big understanding coming in for the collective of our sovereignty, our right, our birthright, our sovereign rights to live free out here and live with choices out here. So freedom being a big part of this, sovereignty being a big part of this, and really stepping up to that plate of responsibility. So it's not, you know, just our carbon footprint anymore. It's the big picture of our era, our species, our evolution or lack thereof, lies and manipulation for the sake of profit, power, corruption for the sake of, you know, greed. Like that stuff just doesn't really fly. We're smart now, 11:11 on the clock. We're really super smart now. I don't know if man as a species in this era has really given himself credit for how smart we have become as a species. So I think we're going to see a lot of change when it comes to just how we do things, what we accept and what we don't, and how we move because of that. I think Gemini is a perfect energy to get us into this because it really does start in the mind, which is rare. Things typically, when things are going to shift with us, they start somewhere in the body, whether that's based on fear, inspiration, creativity, you know, a muse, who knows. But this one's a little bit different. This one's starting in the mind, in the age of Aquarius, which we are shifting into, however you want to be on that timeline. In this age of Aquarius, the age of knowledge, the age of miracles, we really get to process with the mind first before it turns into a physical issue. Let's just call it an issue, okay? So, excellent way to start this reading. I really enjoy that. We've got an incense cone or incense stick burning here today for us. So grab yourself something to sip on or smoke on. I'm probably going to light a cigarette in a second as we shuffle up these oracle cards, and we are about to get started with our reading. New Moon Gemini, and today we are going to read, what are we going to read? What element are we going to do? We've got air and ether up already. So let's do, Earth is just a call in. It's just a call. And who doesn't want to talk money right now? Manifestation. The physical healing, physical strength, physical health. It is springtime and it is feeling so hit and miss, of course, up and down, left and right, but it's feeling so powerful out here when it comes to manifestations. Have your manifestations really been ramping up? At least like in the, you know, visualization stage where it's like I can feel it, I can smell it, I can taste it, when I wake up or come back to my reality, I don't feel any lack. I don't feel any distance between that dream home, that bank account, the bag with the cards and the updated vehicle getting me where I'm going. Like nothing feels distant, nothing feels in lack, even though this is my trailer. You know, this is not the castle, classical, gothic revival meets modern architecture. No. This is not the dream home, but there feels like no separation between that vibration of living the dream, baby, the dream of all dreams, seeing the things in the world you want to see, traveling, witnessing. It's like everything that felt like it was way out of our realm, you know, all these dreams that were like way beyond us feel like they're in reality, bang, just like that. So there was this huge shift that went from fantastical, imaginative, beautiful, you know, ether, 5D, the unified consciousness or the unified field, right, boom, just like that into the physical realm. It's just a plane ticket away. All I have to do is book it. It's like, oh, all I have to do is get the resources, book the thing, pick the hotel, and that's the only delay. The only delay is the sitting down and putting the 1 + 1 = 2 together. So we've talked about 1 + 1 = 3. We've talked about 1 + 1 = infinity, but 1 + 1 = 2 is always that air element, is always that logical, it's real, it's here, it's now, I can feel it, smell it, taste it, touch it, hear it, love on it. Put it in my journal because it's a memory now. Like, it's this feeling of it's now. It's now. When is it? Now. When's the manifestation? Now. The money? Now. The how or the answer or the I have all these crazy dreams. If you're a manifester like me, where you just dream the dream and then you let it be from there, release, detach, you know, it doesn't even have to become a reality now, even though the recurring ones really do. Like, I want to see the Milan Cathedral in Italy in real life. And that's one of like dozens, you know what I mean? So that one keeps coming up. That one's not one that I'm willing to detach. I mean, I do the law of detachment, right? Because shit, I could die tomorrow. It's totally fine. But what I mean is, that's one where it's like, I'm not going to let that go. If that's within my ability or my like timeline or whatever, like, I'm not avoiding that of my own free will. That's going to be out of my control if I don't get to see that one. It's that feeling of it's now, it's real, it's happening. It's happening. There's a beautiful affirmation to add to your morning routine, your night routine, just if you're trying to get that positive energy going, it's happening. I love that so much. Another one that I've taken in from here on YouTube, lovely lady named Jacqueline Da Silva, who does manifestation, just chunky, bite-sized stuff that you can really kind of like pick up an affirmation from. She does one, isn't it wonderful? And I absorbed that one immediately. Isn't it wonderful? No matter, and if you feel that element of sarcasm to it, it's Gemini, baby. Let your shadow roam right now. Don't let her off the leash, though. Like, this is not a time to be drinking excessively or doing any of those things where it's like we're trying to lash out. If you're doing that, do it creatively, do it in a way of healing, like go all out with your healing rituals, like howling at the moon, screaming into pillows, girl, like whatever you got to do. Getting in the car, singing real loud, like go tits out with the energy, but don't feed that into the things that we do for escapism. Like, if you're going to heal all out, right? But if you're going to go drinking, have some drinks with some friends, do some stuff that's like on that kind of line, stay on the line, play the line. You know what I mean? Like, between what we know is not great for us, it's just that same old same. And it is, I mean, socializing, being with people, celebrating. These are beautiful, wonderful things to spend our time doing. But you know what I'm saying? If you have any kind of issues with substances, any kind of issues with addiction, all the sympathy in the world, I totally understand. I can relate in a lot of ways. You guys have seen me. I smoke cigarettes, drink coffee. We've all got our vices. Okay, everybody's addicted to something. That's what they say. Anyways, which immediately brought me to the Shaolin monk that I was watching on TikTok today. I'm sure if you could talk with like a Shaolin monk or anyone that you sort of imagine as being beyond addictions and the human, shadow stuff, I bet you if you talk to a Shaolin monk, they would tell you the same thing, that they are not exempt, that they are not some special creature who doesn't deal with, all of the deadly sins, the lust, the greed, the gluttony, the sloth, however you want to play. I don't know why that's coming up in such a religious kind of way, but you know what I mean? Like, it's those things that we do that we know aren't best for us, but the pain wants to be expressed. Okay, we are 20 minutes in, so we are going to pick our cards for this reading today while I just chit-chat at you a little bit about what we've got going on as services and offers here at EBINOTTI. So cheers to you if you're sipping something. I'm having a lovely little Nescafe today, coffee. It's an instant coffee. Sweet and creamy is my flavor. And I'm just so obsessed with this cute little mug set that I got from the thrift store. I highly recommend you check out your local thrift store. Or if you're traveling, oh my God, I feel like that's the time to go to thrift stores as well. For kitchen things and good quality things and just not being overly fancy. If you follow me on TikTok, at EBINOTTI on TikTok, then you know I've been on a sourdough journey learning to ferment flour and make sourdough. So just getting to the roots of traditional things, how they were made before we processed and refined and genetically started modifying everything. And, you know, it's just one of those things where you can buy, because it's trending on TikTok, you can buy all these fancy Dutch ovens and dough knives and, you know, all of these things. Banneton baskets, like, get the fuck out of here. I mean, buy them if you love them. Oh my God, no shade, no shame, none of that stuff. You know, if you know, we don't fuck with shame or anything like that here. We just talk about it in a safe space. But I said, fuck all that, fuck all of that. Between my house, my mom, which has my grandma, my great grandma, and all my aunties, all their shit, everyone that's passed on is my mom's place. Between my kitchen, my mom's kitchen, Zach's mom's kitchen, we've got more than enough stuff to make bread. I'm not going to buy anything fancy. You know, I'm not going to make purchases. I want to do this with what I got. And it has been the most insane and wonderful experience. So whether it's thrifting or the other side of that, since it's Gemini, I'm not going to go with the dark, but another way to really lean into that energy of finding luxury in simplicity instead of a price tag or a brand name. It's like, ooh, try to avoid that. Okay, they're trying to sell you a lifestyle. They're trying to sell you an image. You have the lifestyle and the image already. You don't need the Gucci bag, okay, or the super fancy yada yada. You just don't need all that stuff to kind of pull it off. The luxury is the product, is the journey, is you. You are the luxury product. You don't know that because you're not a product. You're a spiritual, beautiful, wonderful being. But do you see what I'm saying? It's like getting to the grassroots of it. So the flip side, and sorry, I know I got a little off track there, but the way to do it is you can donate. You can make sure that the things in your home are not just cluttered closets full of things that aren't being used, 5 different vacuums, none of them work right. You know what I mean? Is it time to junk some stuff? Is it time to pass some stuff on? That I love that my mom like never passes things on, because anytime I need something to bake bread in, or, you know, she's got it. But at the same time, she takes that message the same, where there are things that are collecting dust. There are corners that get forgotten and unloved. And like any good witch, it's time to get your broom, get in there, and sweep out the dust, you know? So if you feel that way, that's such a great way to manifest some real luxury in your life, to give yourself a little bit of, you know, peace, serenity, fresh air, allow yourself to breathe a little bit. It feels really, really good to accomplish things like that as well, where you are, you know, decluttering and passing things on and helping people in need. If you've ever needed things to be cheap, if you've ever needed things to be gifted to you or to come to you when it's the right time, right place, like that is why we give to I love to shop, but it's lost its luster in the last 10 years. Like, I'm 37 now, so from 27 to 37, let's just say, it's lost its luster a little bit. But the thing that always brings it back for me is that nothing is wasted in my closet, ever. Nothing is wasted. Like the thrift stores, my friends' kids, like random people who go to the donation places in my community. Every year, you know, at least once a year, I do a huge declutter and I just get rid of a bunch of stuff. And that allows me to continue to purchase, which is event. It's an event that I enjoy, to shop, to put together outfits. It's not about wearing the clothes as much as it is the creative process for me. And once I'm done with something, I just let it go. I put it back into the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, That might not be the healthiest example, but I hope you really catch the meaning and the message behind that, that there is a rotation to in and out. You know, we never get the money and then just hold on to it forever. We want things. And the only reason we hold on to it is we don't think there's enough for the next thing. You know, otherwise it would just be this constant flow of money passing through us and us just experiencing the lifestyle that we desire. Okay, so like I said, big manifestations are on the board right now. That means big healing is on the board right now. If you are not there when it comes to manifestations because you are going through a massive healing right now, it's your season, babe, and you are not alone. Okay, there are a lot of people in the collective right now that are holding on by the hair on my chinny chin, as they, I don't know who that was for, but that was really cute. And ain't that the truth? So we are here for you collectively to live our best lives, to fight the good fight, to be the safe space. Okay, especially as feminines, we need to support each other, ourselves, and our masculines out here, our elders, our youth, you know, our babies. We need to just be the safe space. Okay, so that doesn't require anything else. You can do anything else. You can take on as much responsibility in any realm that you can walk into in this world as you like, but don't get distracted off of what the real work is right now when it comes to that spiritual progress. If you are very focused on your spiritual progress, then keep that focus. As divine feminines, it is just our work, our duty, and our job to create the safe space, okay, for creation, for expression, for healing, for, you don't have to be a healer. Showing up and being there. Sometimes you don't even have to show up. You could just be there, hand to God. Okay, so creating that safe space is an energy that we can hold now. And it is so powerful and so natural once we can kind of get deep, deep, deep down into that pit of natural feminine strength. Okay, and once we are seated and rooted in that energy, it'll be very hard to rip that out. It'd be very hard to push that, like you see the trees, you know, just swaying in the wind. It's very hard to knock over a tree that has not been damaged and yada yada. So if you're damaged, you need to put a splint on that fucker and wrap it up, because hurricane winds are coming, storm on the forecast, you know. So taking care of the self, because that's the only way to really be strong out here. And with that, we can pick our first oracle deck, which today, big surprise, we are going to use the Goddess Oracle. What a brilliant and beautiful deck. I love working with this deck on this channel. You guys are so powerful and so in tune and so incredible out there, even the ones who have not made it here yet. That working with these decks with this channel, which is you guys and all the people who come here in the future, makes it very incredible, an incredible experience for me. So thank you so much for being here today. Okay, kick back, relax, and let's get into this tarot reading. Private readings are still available. If you are looking for readings, there are some available in June. Yes, there are still some available in June, but July is looking like there's going to be more room for the one-on-ones with me, especially the live call ones as opposed to the pre-recorded. Two different options. If you don't know, just message me, or I'm sure you'll come across that information down in the description bar wherever you need it. But we've got programs and everything coming out. I'm very excited to launch the Divine Feminine Alignment program. That's going to be a lot of fun and just so great. I need it. We need it. We all need it. It's just that feeling where it's like, it's time. It's time. It's time. So that'll be a fun one. It'll be super, super affordable, super, super chunky. For those of you who don't like long form content, maybe not going to be your favorite thing, because it's going to be like 22 videos in that little program. And that's just how the first program for me is going to be. Just how it's got to be. I love programs. I love doing people's programs when I have the money. I love, 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 love. just go through it with someone. I don't even need the group, you know, like it doesn't matter if it's just me and the coach, like, you know, or if there's no like live call interaction stuff, like I don't even care. I just want to be there one-on-one with the videos. So I watch a lot of that long form content just for free talks and self-help and, you know, the Brené Brown and the, like, I love that stuff so much. So when there's a program offered that I can afford, that I have time for, and that I don't have to show up to a live call and stuff, I could just watch that exclusive content at my own pace. Oh my God, it's so wonderful. And then having access, obviously, to the people via email and all of that if I have questions, or which I rarely do. Like I'm a self-educator, you know? So I want to try to offer everything that is needed in the programs, but I'm not going to overdo it. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not going to overfancy it. It's a big message for the collective right now, is just do the simple structure of something without adding all the fancy bells and whistles and shiny and on top. You know, it's like going back to the sourdough bread. You don't need any of that. You don't, okay? It doesn't change the quality at all. If anything, in my opinion, brings quality down a little bit. Just in my opinion. Don't come for me. I know people are all uppity about their sourdough right now, like it's some new thing. Go talk to your great grandma. Go talk to your great aunt. Go talk to some of the elders about sourdough and all that and see if they think that this is a new trending thing. No. Okay, my loves. It's funny because I'm not very close with my dad. If you know me personally, I don't have a very close relationship with my dad, but I did message him about some of the projects and things that I'm currently working on, like sourdough and fermenting honey and garlic and ginger together. And I laughed because as I was telling him about the sourdough and sending him a picture of my starter as she's like all bubbly and awesome, he goes, "Oh, I'm fermenting honey for the first time." And that was going to be the next thing I said to him. So I just laughed because your people will always be your people, whether you're in contact with them or not. Just be out here. Be. That is the big message under Gemini new moon, is just to be, especially getting into the earth element. So let's talk about earth a little bit here. That is our reality. Pardon me. It is a feminine element, but it is everything tangible and real, which is very masculine. It's very logical out here in the 3D, depending on the energy that you sit in. Okay, so that's money. That's the bank account. That's the 1 + 1 = 2 aspect of it. Okay, and you don't have to do anything. Okay, there's no requirement for action that I'm receiving at all with this new moon. Maybe that's just for 2 weeks. Maybe it's just for 2 minutes, but it's time to get into the space of nothing. Are you familiar with Alan Watts? I call him a philosopher. I don't know what he is, but he's just one of those people who breaks down the concept of nothing in a really beautiful and understandable way, where everything is created from a nothing energy. And if you want to know how he breaks that down, then look up Alan Watts Nothing and you'll see. He's all over TikTok. His content is, I'm sure he's written books and just all the things. But the concept of doing nothing never means nothing gets done, never means nothing happens. You know, there's a huge, we were talking about the 7 deadly sins. So think of sloth, the energy of sloth, where nothing is getting done. What is the difference then between sloth energy and meditation, spiritual nothingness? You know, what is the difference? And I would say that the difference is the outcome. To actively repress healing, I would say sloth, because we are not indulging and enjoying, we are resisting and fighting. So I always said to my roommate in Toronto, she can attest, eat the cheesecake, eat the whole damn cheesecake with zero guilt and call it a day. Because if you keep pussyfooting around your desires, your authentic desires, they will never be sated, okay? And they will continue to bubble to the surface and force action from you. in ways that might be more damaging long term than just eating a fucking cheesecake one time. Okay? So enjoying the nothing and not resisting the nothing, and realizing that there is no such thing as doing nothing. So maybe reframing within the mind what you are doing so that you understand that you are not lazy, in sloth mode, in gluttony, or in resistance to your true nature. And if the people around you can't fathom and understand that, then keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Your lifestyle, your behaviors, your habits, your whatever it is that you're going through right now that's requiring you to stop and do nothing. If you are not in a safe space there, be in one here. Be in one here in the vessel. Do not allow somebody else to take your safe space and flip it on its ass. If that's the case, it's time to get out now. Okay? And on the bottom, tits out, we get Hathor with pleasure. And ain't that the truth? Okay, now this can be interpreted as the sun or the moon here. I'm going to take this as full moon energy right now, even though I'm really feeling the sun off of it as well. So if you're not paying attention to the solar activity or that celestial body in the sky, it might be time to do a little bit of sun gazing, sunbathing, tune into the sun, okay? But this kind of pleasure here, we're going to go full moon with it because it illuminates the things that we've been suppressing, the things that we've been avoiding. That's why people go crazy with full moon energy, is because they have been suppressing, they have been avoiding. So there's no real business to be had. Wow, she ain't messing around today. Our goddess card for the reading, she popped right out into my hand, is going to be Hathor, which is like spirit saying, I mean it. I really mean it. Like, you need to get this message that your pleasure, regardless of what is being done, the action being accomplished, your pleasure is the action, is the work to find your authentic pleasure. So I like to do this in a very passive way when I've been avoiding it for a while and I'm feeling really uncomfortable about it. If I've been in a tough place, emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever. I like to do this very passively, where I stop everything. Today, I stop, okay? And with that, you open as well. So you stop and you create a safe space for yourself. And that's all that this requires, because the pleasure comes from there. Me and my mom, we always talk about the joy of having the day off to watch your favorite show, to cozy up on the couch with like a smorgasbord of beautiful food, snacks, whether it's total junk food or like beautiful handmade English high tea vibes, it doesn't matter. It's the way that you need it to be in the moment. That's what you create. Pleasure. And it can be, if necessary, a very passive thing that is done, which means you don't really do shit. You just get safe, get comfortable, and, get going on absolutely nothing. Because she fell off the bottom when we shuffled, that gives us a new bottom of the deck. Take a look at, I don't know if we've ever seen Callie on this channel before. I don't know if she's ever come out for us before, but here she is today. The flip side of this pleasure today is not about just the guilt, it's the fear. So when we're doing the earth element, we are talking about the root chakra. The root chakra, like the pleasure would be more the sacral chakra, so the water element, but here fear is root chakra, okay? That is the earth element. The flip side of fear is survival or acceptance, however you want to. It's appreciating and accepting the fact that you are capable, even if that just means capable of dying with honor right now, dying with acceptance right now. Fear is so unique and so special and so powerful that I think we need to drop the fear of fear. The fear of pain, and then we avoid things that are our true desires. letting go of some of the lesser fears is what I'm hearing, like lesser demons. Crazy. Letting go of some of the lesser fears, because at this point they are not helpful. And if something's not helpful to our progress, to our evolution, our alignment, our activation, then there's no point in holding on to it, right? So Kali with fear on the bottom of the deck, the opposite of the pleasure. Okay, and then I was trying to decide and it just popped right into my head. The Crystal Oracle is going to be our next oracle deck. For the earth element, under this new moon Gemini energy, we are going to see what is required for our pleasure when it comes to earth, the resources that we have, the health, our strength, our stability, our homes, our environments, our habits are coming up, not in a negative way, but in a very positive, very strong, activating, aligning kind of way. Okay, one more shuffle. Two more shuffle. Feels really good to shuffle right now, but let's see. I want to get into it and get these messages. Okay, so bottom of the deck, we have seen this one quite a lot. Tiger's Eye with balance. So when it comes to the fears, the extremes of our pleasure, our desires, our creation out here, balance is very, very important. You can embody or tune into the frequency 4141, which is 55 on the clock as we are saying this. You can tune into the frequency of Tiger's Eye. There's a lot of beautiful Tiger's Eye out there. I'm seeing I have a sphere of blue Tiger's Eye that is so stunning. I wear Tiger's Eye when I go out in public quite a lot, especially if I'm feeling a little bit overly receptive or overly sensitive. I love to wear Tiger's Eye in public because it really helps with that protection, that balance. It's an ancient stone. It has been used in all kinds of sacred healing and magic for absolute ages. Turquoise and Tiger's Eye are kind of the big ones. Okay, and on the bottom of the deck, we have the water element, which, like we said, with Hathor and pleasure, that's the sacral chakra. Okay, so talking earth element, new moon Gemini, it really is part and parcel with our pleasure. So if you want to manifest, if you want to heal, if you want to acquire some new resources or friends or a lover or marriage, children, the dream home, the castles, the trips, the lifestyle, okay? The real understanding is how these two chakras work together and where you're at with that. We all need to stop for a second and tune into this. That's why this message is coming up. How authentic is our pleasure? How much are we appreciating that? Are we appreciating things that are not authentic? Are we focusing all of our desire and want and lack and ego in a place where it's like those aren't even the things that we have yet? And yet beautiful, authentic desires are in front of us every minute of every day, and we are completely ignoring them for the fear that we won't have the next one. Okay, so big manifestation message there if you're a manifester. If you want to manifest faster, bigger, better, more abundance, more pleasure, stop for a second and really, truly don't reach for this. You don't have to reach for this. Appreciate the things around you that are authentic. So like I said, I like to do this passively. I like to do this, get into a safe space, and then everything that feels good, let it feel good. Amplify that feeling of comfort. It's like the feeling of falling asleep when you're really, really tired. It just feels so good to give in and do absolutely nothing. No resistance. And as soon as you stop resisting, your eyes start to close. That is the type of pleasure and balance that we're talking about, moving from the root chakra to the sacral, or moving from earth to water. Both feminine elements, earth and water, both beautiful energies to use to manifest under this new moon, okay? And our card, tourmaline with inner peace. I always have a huge chunk. Let me show you. I have a big chunk of tourmaline right here on the altar for us. Just want to make sure that dust did not go in my coffee. I love tourmaline, especially raw tourmaline, where it's literally just like a smashed rock, you know, sharp and beautiful. And it's about, say it with me, I just watched Kung Fu Panda, all three of them, like so many times. Inner peace, inner peace, inner peace, when Shifu is trying so hard to get here. So I absolutely love that this is popping up for us. Pleasure and inner peace. And if you know Kung Fu Panda, and maybe that's the message, it would be a great movie. There's 3 of them, so you can really make an evening or a day, an afternoon out of it. Is just sit down and get into that energy of inner peace, of pleasure, of simplicity, okay? In the moment, surrender to inner peace. And that's really all it is. It's not an action. It's not something you can do. It's something you have to surrender to. So there is action to be taken first and foremost. You know, you have to get real clear about the things that you feel like you have, you don't have, you need, you don't want. We sit so much in the mind, you know, especially when it comes to Gemini. It's a real struggle. It's a real struggle sometimes to get the mind back in control here. And there's that word again, control. So knowing where to control, knowing where to surrender. With the mind, you definitely want to be the one in control. Okay, you don't want your mind to be running the show out here, because that's pure ego, my friend. That's pure. The mind is a very small brain compared to the heart, the gut, you know, the soles of the feet, the palms of the hands. Like, we have some brains going on in this system. There's a big old bumblebee thinking he's just going to fly right through that window. Oh my God, that might be a horsefly. Oh, horseflies. So creepy. Okay. For our tarot deck today, nobody's really calling. Nobody's really calling yet. Okay, we got one. We're going to use a Rider-Waite, just a traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck. But this one's got holographic imagery on it, which is really fun in the lighting. And since the lighting is all over the place today, we might as well have some fun with it. There's some surrender for you. Okay, earth element for the collective under this new moon, Gemini. Let's see what's popping out here. Let's see. I have so many messages I want to give to you, but we are 48 minutes in, and I don't want to take up too much of your time today. So we are going to hone it in a little bit with the earth element as we shuffle up our tarot. So take a nice deep breath with me. Feel those lungs expand. Press that air with the belly. Feel the diaphragm contract. Woo! Hierophant on the bottom. Hey, baby. I love this energy right now. The Hierophant can be a lot of different things. Institutions, factions, governance, the priest energy, if religion still got its hold on you. But what I'm really feeling off of this is not just the guidance, it's the program, the programming, reprogramming your system, the system, a system. So something in your world here is absolutely being reset, reprogrammed. There's a rejuvenation kind of energy coming in with this Hierophant. just the bottom of the deck as we shuffle up, but that is very interesting messages coming off the Hierophant energy. And I like it. So we're feeling, again, that safe space. Where do people run to when they're afraid? A church. Maybe not everybody, but you know what I mean, just stereotypically, right? It is a natural, collective, general safe space. Okay, and we got the 10 of Cups, 10 of Water. Now, if there was an energy to embody inner peace, it's 10 of Cups. Because these cups are up in the clouds still. But if you see, everybody here down on the earth is very in the energy of this reality. What we desire is ours. And it's okay. It's more than okay. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's right. It's healthy. It's in balance. And everything feels full of pleasure and full of peace. So very calm, which I know as an intuitive is an interesting preparation energy for Gemini, new moon Gemini especially, okay? Because when we start in a safe space, when we get into inner peace and alignment, it's typically because there's some kind of a battle coming. If you think about it, it's like you don't just tap into inner peace in your youth and then stay there for a lifetime. It's like things happen in the nothing. You know, when you are sitting there just appreciating all that you have, and even if there's, you know, a lot of things, a lot of problems not solved, a lot of things that still need to be done, the work, this energy is the work for the day is done, and everything is as it should be. And it's at its best, you know, without any judgment. There is pure, undiluted pleasure here because it's absolutely perfect. As perfect as this existence can be. I don't want you to get tripped up on the words, okay? So that, to me, feels a little bit like for what's coming next. Because there are still problems that need solving, and there are still desires to be fulfilled and new visions to be dreamt up and new creations to be brought into this reality. Next card out, there he is, the Knight of Air, the Knight of Swords. Beautiful Gemini energy coming in to say, not so fast, not so fast, not so fast with this new idea, with the message, with the action to be taken. Let yourself sit in the resonance of inner peace for as long as you can. And when you start to get a little antsy in your chair and you start to get a little finger happy, a little trigger happy there with the thumbs, take a second and reprocess the peace and the joy of the moment without any action being taken. This is not an I need to, we need to, it needs to be done, get done, be fixed, be figured out, be answered. The mind can really come in and fuck up the inner peace here. It's kind of what I'm hearing, which is fine. That's typical Gemini stuff, is to flip-flop kind of back and forth. You know, like I said, inner peace is not everlasting. You don't just achieve it one time and it's done. So enjoying the mental clarity, even though it might not feel very clear because of the alignment, the mind is free to process, maybe process things it hasn't processed in a while, maybe bring some stuff to the surface that needs to be looked at, fears, pleasures, things that need changing. I mean, it's a very scary thing to realize that some of the stuff in your life is not for you and that nobody's coming to save you. You have to make the choice. You have to quit that job, move that house, make a new plan, and execute. And everybody's going to think you're crazy. Oh my God, I can relate. I have been there. So nobody is making big choices for you out here. You get to be the one making big choices. And that can be a very exciting thought. And that can be a very terrifying thought. But either way, let the thoughts be authentic. Don't try to force the thought. Don't try to overprocess it. Don't even try to take action. Just let the thoughts clarify from your authentic, aligned desires. Okay, that's a power that you can activate. Your truth. The truth. Okay. Next card out in our central energy, the Six of Cups. I love this. This is such a vibe right now. It's like nostalgia, the inner child. So it could go a few different ways, but I'm really feeling the nostalgia. Throwback. I'm watching Charmed. If you ever like throw it back to the shows that you watched when you were growing up, or that you used to watch with your friends or your grandparents, whoever. And I'm currently watching Charmed. I'm on season 4. Thank you to the reader here on YouTube named Bommy Spirit, who totally presented this show to me again. I completely forgot about it until she said that it's a really good show. You should check it out. And I was like, I'm going to. Here I am on season 4. So tuning into nostalgia in a really beautiful way collectively right now. People are doing all kinds of throwbacks. It's even kind of weird if you look at fashion, if you're into that kind of stuff. You look at fashion right now, the 90s are popping. It's like you go into a store and it literally feels like going into a store when I was a teenager again. It's kind of bizarre. It's like it's too soon. It's too soon for this to be retro. Excuse me, but hey, we don't make the rules, we just surrender. So I really love that we're getting that central energy of the inner child and just all that beautiful evaluation, reflection. There's a lot of things to be learned when we go back to the who we used to be, things we used to love. So I highly recommend, if you've got the time or the desire to do so, that you go back and check out some of those old shows that you used to love, or old movies or whatever. Okay, we dropped one. Oh, just make sure that's the only one, and it is. Ooh, 4th card out. The World. There's a major arcana heavy hitter for you. So I'm like, whoa, there's a lot to process. From the central energy of 6 of Cups, more water, we go into the World, which is the World is typically read as an ending, but I'm really feeling this full circle moment. There's some big healing coming in here for the inner child, I think, and for the feminine. The feeling of finally surrendering to, finally giving into, again, that inner peace energy is really coming up. So whatever it takes for you to be able to go back and process some of the things that you used to love. It's like they say that your authentic self is your 10-year-old self, somewhere around 8 and 10 years of age. Your hobbies, your interests are developed enough that they are so raw and authentic that if we, in a lot of self-help genre stuff, that's one of the actions that will be called, is to go back to your 10-year-old self and see what your hobbies and your interests and all that, your personality were. Like, I loved doing the plays at school. I loved acting and putting on a show and all of that. I loved to dance. I was in, dance groups and stuff all throughout my young life. I tried out for every play, you know what I mean? Like, I love to perform. I love to put on a show. So it might be time for you to go back and see something and have something come full circle for you, because there is a lesson to be had there. Some kind of a gift is being called to be activated there. And a lot of that usually has to do with healing. Final card out, our 5th card, is the 4 of Swords. So more air energy. It's kind of interesting how this all went, because we've got some water and then we've got some air with the World card. And isn't that how we've been reading with Gemini? It's like there's a healing that's coming in to the mental space, processing the identity for the first time, or maybe for it's just a really big event to process, to reflect on the past, your truth, your thoughts, the things that you believe that you want to put energy and take action on, your responsibilities, things that you feel like are getting in the way of that, gotten in the way of that. Here there's 3 swords hanging on the wall, and 1 one down here that we are processing. But these 3 battles have already been won in process. So there's a real sort of lack of repetition here. We don't want to continue battling on and on and on and on. If we are going to get up and put action, we want this to have the right outcome. And that's where you get that world energy really kind of popping. It's like we don't want to go round and round and round on the cycles anymore. If we're going to put the energy in, we want to be wise and know better, because this is not our first war. This is not our first battle. So getting very authentic. Getting very, very authentic with the desires, with the action we want to take, with, you know, what we're going to do about it. There's this energy I keep hearing, what we're going to do about it. We are processing our fear in a really authentic way. But here with the 4 of Swords, there is definitely the need to slow down for some of us. Okay, it's a big message. The need to slow down for our health. Okay. Allow people to do some healing work on you as well. However that works for you. If you know healers, or if you want to go out and have, you know, drinks with friends this weekend, whatever it is allow people to heal for you instead of just robbing you of your energy. Okay, let's get our clarifiers out next. Going back to the beginning of that spread, we're going to clarify our 10 of Cups first. Okay, and I know we got one, but where did it go? There it is. Let's make sure it's just a 1. Yes. So clarifying our 10 of Cups, we get the Fool. There's the major arcana for you. It's a fearless energy. It's really, if you see, everybody has got their arms wide open, free and beautiful and accepting, and the joy of just accepting where you're at, what you got, what you don't, you know, what you want, and just allowing everything to be very real and very felt. So there's cleansing and purging and releasing happening in this energy for some of the collective, and I'm so happy for you. We very much so support your healing. But there's also the alignment to true and authentic. Some of us are going to be feeling that authentic, fearless pleasure for the first time, or for the first time in quite a while, where it's so simple. It could bring us to our knees. It could bring us to tears. There's a beautiful energy of being brought to tears here with this acceptance, the beauty, the love that we feel for one another, the love that we feel for ourselves, the gratitude that we feel and appreciation that we feel in our lives, the clarity that some of us are receiving. Sorry, I got a little nasally there. The clarity that some of us are receiving on our desires, on what happiness and home and all that looks like for us, and how much of that we already have around us. So again, a beautiful surrendering energy, beautiful acceptance energy, and receiving. There is so much receiving to be had for the collective. So getting out of our own way, we're going to see what that's all about with the Knight of Swords as we clarify that energy. Getting out of our own way so that we really can receive. Look at the central energy of the 6 of Cups. There is receiving in the sweetest, purest, most innocent and honest and authentic and just beautiful energy of giving, receiving. Okay, so really getting on the receiving end here. And getting out of our own way. There's no action to be taken here. The action is inaction. Okay, the real action is nothing. Okay. Ooh. Under the Knight of Swords, we get little sis energy with the Page. So the Knight is like big brother. The Page is like little sister. That's kind of how they read the court. And if you look here, big brother, little sister. Very, very cool energy. But it's also easily influenced. It also can go dark very quick. We do have to talk about that because it is Gemini energy, the twins, the duality. Okay, so A lot of good can be had with this. Messages coming in, information coming in, things to help us heal, clarify, understand some of our pleasures, some of our fears. Okay, really pushing home that message that most of our fear comes from our pleasure, comes from our desire, okay? And that's why pain and pleasure are the same part of the brain. The same little region of the brain holds the sensory for pain and pleasure. So there really is a choice here on what you want to focus on. I mean, we are so powerful with our ability to choose. You definitely want to be choosing, again, the things that are authentic for you, the things that are your true pleasures and desires. And if you expose yourself to yourself as a terrible person and that makes you uncomfortable, then you have an opportunity to change and be a better person. Random side message there, but it does happen, you know. Sometimes we think we are way better than we actually are, and there are huge changes that need to be made before we cross over to the dark side for real, for real. You know what I mean? Like, this is EBINOTTI over here, and we don't pretend. We don't pretend that we don't have dark desires, unhealthy thoughts, unhealthy desires, dark thoughts, all those kind of things. Sometimes, of course, we do. We get vengeful. Revenge used to be like a big one. And we're just letting it go now, because now it's about pleasure. It's about desire. It's about writing the script, riding wild horses, tits out, you know, cliff jumping and skydiving and, you know, living in castles and palaces and building homes that are true to us, true to our desire. Okay, so you can expect, if you haven't heard the messages and got the information and, you know, been called to action in any way for what is right for you next, depending on what you desire, it's going to be different for each of us. You can expect those things to come in as you align to your pleasure and as you release your fear, and as you give in. Whether that's dark or light, that will be processed and that will be manifested, manufactured, brought to you physically. Okay, here we go. It's like everyone's on the floor now. Whew. Okay, clarifying our central energy with the Six of Cups, we get the Ace of Cups. Hell yeah. Like, the offer that's being given is so brand new. To have the 10 and the Ace of the same element in the same, there's only 10 cards going to be on the board. That's not a lot of cards. So you can understand the synchronicity. These are only a few cards away, the 10 to the 1. And what that can tell you, if you remember, we have the World card coming next. What that can tell you is that these cycles can be massive for you. They can be huge shifts. They can be, you know, your wildest desires, your biggest dreams. They can also be dark in the same way. So I'm not going to process that for you. You can process that on your own. But the healing can be, this is extremes. That's what this really is. I mean, we're reading New Moon Gemini, so it's not a surprise. But this is extremes, okay? If you want to manifest, it can happen in an extreme way. The availability under this new moon is massive. Everything Earth is life-changing, okay? Whether it's your health, that fast is how long it takes to get bad news or good news. That fast is how long it takes for your entire life to change. So allowing yourself to process the moment, realizing that doing nothing will never be nothing for you. You are not a sloth. You are not a glutton. You are not greedy. You are not out here spiteful with pride. You can let it, sorry, I spit. I hope you didn't see that. You can let it go. Allow yourself to process as you go so that you can truly receive what's meant for you here, because it's going to be massive. It's going to be massive. What's coming in for you to support your pleasure, your inner peace, your joy, your fountain is really going to be massive here. So allowing is the main message. It's to allow the receiving, and fear is a big part of that. If you remember, Callie showed us. Fear is a big part of that, and healing's a big part of that. So that's not the easy stuff, guys. It's really not. And it's going to happen fast, would be my guess. So like I said, I've been leaning into things like watching long series, really allowing myself to slow down and read books. I have been reading books since I was very, very young, and I still, at different parts in my life, and now is one of them, find it very difficult to slow down enough to read a book. Okay, I do it when it's necessary for me to slow down. Like if I'm sick or something and I'm not supposed to be like up and doing stuff, it's like, okay, I'll try to get into a book or a show so that I can slow down. But that is a message. That is a big message for the collective, is to allow the slowing down, because that is where real work is going to be done. Real action can be taken. I'm not saying all the stuff that you push out and get done and take on as responsibilities is not real. Of course it is. What I'm saying is the big stuff that's way beyond you, that comes in just like miracles and, you know, synchronicities, alignments, activations. You want to get out of the way so that these things can process as quickly as they need to. And most important, as painlessly as they can, because this can be very, very painful. The Fool and the World are the beginning. He's not really the beginning, the Fool. He pops up all throughout the journey, but technically beginning and the end of the major arcana cycle. Okay, and we got both of our clarifiers to finish this reading. So under the World, we've got another page out here. On either side of our central energy as clarifiers, we have pages. So you can expect messages, people popping up. I'm sure there's some kind of retrograde going on in our cosmos right now. So you check out your astrologers if it's been a while. I just saw 11111 come across our clock. So this is a beautiful message, again, of healing and accepting, but appreciating the fact that you are new on a journey here. You're about to start something new. So giving yourself the grace and kind of leaning into your uniqueness and loving on yourself for it, as opposed to being just another cookie cutter human out here. You don't want to be cookie cutter. Nobody does. There's something really safe about the cookie cutter home. So I get people like the simplicity of like stucco and linoleum floors and chopping block countertops. Like I totally get it, the simplicity of it. But others of us want to live in old fortresses and stone castles where it's like the maintenance is high, okay? Go watch Downton Abbey. It's like a real gentleman doesn't have a job, you know? I love that saying. It's so funny. It's gonna trigger so many people. I love that saying because it's like I probably interpret it in a very unique, I'm a Pisces energy with the Page of Cups. I probably process that in a very unique way. Because you can't not work. There's no such thing as existing without working. Like cooking a meal, people make careers out of that. So when you cook a meal, it's not work. What is it? A chore? Like, come on, this is a shift in perspective, and you better get on board with the weirdness and the uniqueness and the you-ness of it all, because if not, this world is gonna kick your ass. This is where the Four of Swords becomes a cold, a broken toe, a fucking minor car accident. I'm not trying to trigger anyone. I'm just saying it becomes a thing that lays you out. You see how he's laid out here and the sword's underneath him, but there's a 3 on the wall. There's people here observing and blessing and praising and appreciating and giving to this person who's laid out here. It's because they've done a lot, but they don't come out of it unscathed. They need to reflect, they need to process. So appreciate the fact that the World is a massive card in tarot for a reason, okay? It's just about the aspects of life and how we can all relate as human beings, and this is an energy that we all go through, and no one's exempt from it. You don't get to just skip on by, you know what I mean? Like you don't get to flutter on by the World card. If you've gone through all of the cycles on something, and we do this every day, there's no actual stagnant energy in our energy, then you're going to end up at the beginning, which means there's going to be an ending somewhere. Okay, so getting ready for some change, getting ready for some, not necessarily endings, but newness, okay? For things to be, ending. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I'm trying to say it in a nicer way, but it's ending. Getting ready for the death process, the ending, because that's what it is. So appreciating the now becomes really easy when you realize this thing is never going to happen again. You're never going to sit with these people again. Like now, as I've gotten older, I've been able to, I'm very like psychic with it too, but I'm able to tell sometimes or through different situations. I'll be sitting in a moment and all of a sudden it'll hit me. I'm never going to be with these people again. I'm never going to sit here in a moment like this with these people again. And sure enough, I've been right every single time. Okay, our final clarifier to clarify our Four of Swords energy is another knight. We have 2 pages and 2 knights out here, and that's the only ones from the court who are showing up. Okay, so the Knight of Pentacles, the Knight of Earth, coming to tell us that, again, the nothingness, you can move the tortoise and the hare. You know, the Knight of Earth or Pentacles is the slowest moving knight out of all the knights, whereas the Knight of Air is the fastest moving knight out of all the knights. And between the tortoise and the hare, who won that race? Because even the air, Four of Swords over here, gets real slow. Real slow. You know, the mind is like, hoorah, you know, swords up and all these amazing ideas and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, you might even grab onto them, you know, explore some of these topics or ideas or locations, whatever's popping up into the mental space. You might go exploring a little bit, researching, whatever, watching people blog, you know, in locations that you've always wanted to travel to. People move there, careers, whatever, reading books. But when it comes down to it, this is a slow and steady progress, especially the action that's being taken. So the earth element moving very slowly right now, processing, mostly healing. For a lot of the collective, I can really feel the amount of healing with that water element on the bottom. Understanding that our pleasures have gotten us into many places that were never meant for us, you know. And let's see what we have on the bottom. The Five of Cups. Indeed, that water energy, the message is perfectly on point. We can feel a great loss for the end of an era, but if we simply turn around and process, there are 2 cups belonging to the soulmates behind us at this point of loss. Okay, so the focus is the real important part of pleasure. It's not about trying to focus on something when we're hurting. It's about processing the pain and understanding that if there was no pleasure, there would be no pain from the loss of that person, that time that you had, that thing that you experienced. Okay, so really getting deep in the waters there. And Sailor Moon just came up, so I'll show you my beautiful blanket flag that Zach got for me. Babe is so sweet because he knows I was doing some inner child work watching Sailor Moon, and I made him download the Sailor Moon, the original, for me because I knew they changed it, and sure enough, they did. But the point is, it's really going deep into the waters, okay? And allowing your pleasure to come up and rise to the surface to meet you there. You need to be in a pretty relaxed and peaceful state to be able to receive, the level of pleasure that you've been able to imagine. I mean, you're beautiful, powerful, intelligent, feminine. Therefore, your ability to create desire is very high. And the cup overfloweth for a fucking reason. It's not some great lesson in loss. It's not some great lesson in you want but you can't have, you know? Of course not. Of course it's not. Who are you worshiping out here that's telling you such crazy things? I would love to know. Okay, final message again, because this is a really important one. We just want to reiterate there's a lot of synchronicities going on the board here. We have the Fool and the 10, the World, sorry, the beginning and the end of the major arcana. We have the Ace and the 10 of Cups, that big cycle energy, 2 pages, 2 nights. I mean, it's pretty consistent and constant here. So with these cycles, the natural cycles that we go through for the earth element under new moon Gemini, the real message is to get in tune with your emotions, because there is an ending that is necessary to process coming for you. This is in our 4th line, which means it's coming energy. There will be very, very few of us in the collective that have already gone through that energy because it's in the position that it's in. So it's about aligning to our truth. You don't have to find the inner peace. It's just a really nice piece of advice. Inner peace, inner peace. I love Shifu in Kung Fu Panda as he tries to process the dragon warrior. He is so in resistance. He is so like, he looks at his own master so disrespectfully and just completely ignores all the wisdom that his master has. And it's not, I mean, his master never actually gets mad at him because he knows. He knows. He has his own inner peace. The tortoise, I can't remember his name. Or the sea turtle or whatever he is. Anyways, just a recommendation if you want to have some fun with it, go watch Kung Fu Panda. It is, or Sailor Moon, or, you know, Charmed, whatever, however you're throwing it back, okay? The inner child could use a little bit of focus. Our true and authentic desires are allowed to be silly, simple, youthful, totally boring, more tortoise than they are hare, okay? You don't have to have FOMO, fear of missing out. It's like, fuck the cool kids. You are the cool kid. In this scenario, you get to be the weirdo. You get to be the tortoise. You get to be delusional with your imagination, your desires, and all that good stuff. Okay, we're going to leave that one right there. Please give this video a thumbs up if you did like it. Consider subscribing if you want to see more content. Turn that notification bell on if you want to be notified every single time that videos come out. We read for the new moon and the full moon cycles. We do the elements. The summer solstice, it's coming. Longest day of the year where we get to celebrate the beginning of the summer season. Very much so looking forward to that, considering in Northern Canada we get 4 seasons. I hope that you are leaning into everything that you desire. I hope you are authenticating your desires and feeling powerful and aligned and so activated in your power. We support your progress and your evolution. Love you so much. And until next time, got to think of something to say there, but I love you and I will see you on the next one. Mwah.